Listen up, because what I'm about to share with you could completely transform your fitness journey. If you've been grinding in the gym for months or even years without seeing the results you want, the problem isn't your dedication or your workout plan. The problem is these 11 deadly mistakes that are literally stealing your gains right from under your nose. And before you think this is just another generic fitness video, let me tell you that mistake number 7 is so common that 9 out of 10 gym goers are doing it right now without even realizing it's destroying their progress. You walk into the gym with all the motivation in the world, ready to push your limits and build that physique you've been dreaming about. But there's one thing you're probably skipping that's setting you up for failure before you even touch a weight. I'm talking about completely ignoring your warm-up routine. I get it, you're eager to get straight to the heavy lifting, but here's what's happening inside your body when you skip this crucial step. Your muscles are cold, your joints are stiff, and your nervous system isn't prepared for the intense demands you're about to place on it. This isn't just about injury prevention, though that's certainly important. When you jump straight into heavy lifting with cold muscles, you're literally leaving gains on the table because your muscles can't contract with maximum force. Your range of motion is limited, and your coordination is compromised. Think of it like trying to sprint in freezing weather versus a warm summer day. Your body simply can't perform at its peak when it's not properly prepared. But let's talk about something even more fundamental that's sabotaging your workouts before they even begin. How many times have you rushed to the gym straight from work or first thing in the morning without eating anything, thinking you'll just power through on willpower alone? This is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. And here's why it's absolutely destroying your potential. When you train on an empty stomach, your body doesn't have the fuel it needs to perform at its best. Your muscles rely on glycogen for energy, and without adequate nutrition, your strength drops, your endurance plummets, and worst of all, your body starts breaking down muscle tissue for energy instead of building it up. Every rep becomes a struggle, every set feels harder than it should, and by the end of your workout, you've accomplished maybe 60% of what you could have achieved with proper nutrition. Even more concerning is what happens to your focus and mental clarity. Without proper fuel, your brain can't maintain the concentration needed for perfect form and maximum effort, turning what should be a productive session into a mediocre one. Now here's something that might shock you, and it's happening to millions of people every single day. You spend an hour crushing it in the gym, giving everything you've got, and then you spend the next 8 to 10 hours sitting at a desk, on a couch, or in your car. This prolonged sitting is literally undoing all the hard work you just put in. Recent research involving over 10,000 adults found something absolutely mind-blowing. People who sat for more than 8 hours a day, even when they exercised regularly, experienced 50% more muscle mass loss compared to those who stayed active throughout the day. Let that sink in for a moment. Half of your potential gains are disappearing simply because you're sitting too much. When you sit for extended periods, blood flow to your muscles decreases dramatically, nutrients can't reach the muscle tissue effectively, and your muscles begin to tighten and lose their ability to function optimally. It's like trying to water a garden with a kinked hose. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires consistency. Every hour, stand up, walk around, do some light stretching, or even just shift positions. Your muscles need constant activation to maintain their health and growth potential. Here's where things get really interesting, and this mistake is probably costing you more gains than any other single factor. Too many people fall into the trap of thinking that more cardio equals better results. They spend hours on treadmills, bikes, and elliptical machines, believing they're fast-tracking their way to a lean, muscular physique. But here's the brutal truth about excessive cardiovascular exercise. When you overdo cardio, especially long, steady-state sessions, your body enters what's called a catabolic state. Instead of burning fat and preserving muscle, your body starts breaking down muscle tissue for energy. This is the exact opposite of what you want if your goal is to build a strong, defined physique. Think about marathon runners versus sprinters. Marathon runners who do hours of steady cardio tend to be very lean but lack significant muscle mass. Sprinters who focus on short bursts of high-intensity effort maintain impressive muscle mass while staying incredibly lean. The key is finding the right balance. Cardio has its place in a well-rounded fitness program, but when it starts competing with your strength training for recovery resources and energy, it becomes counterproductive. Let's address something that's probably making you uncomfortable right now, but it needs to be said. You have favorite exercises and muscle groups that you love training, and you have others that you absolutely dread. Maybe it's leg day that makes you want to skip the gym entirely, or perhaps it's back exercises that bore you to tears. Here's the problem with avoiding the workouts you don't enjoy. Your body is an integrated system, and when you neglect certain muscle groups, you create imbalances that affect everything else. Skipping leg training doesn't just mean you'll have smaller legs. It means you're missing out on the massive hormonal response that comes from training your body's largest muscle groups. Exercises like squats and deadlifts trigger the release of growth hormone and testosterone more than any other movements. When you skip these challenging sessions, you're not just avoiding temporary discomfort, you're robbing your entire body of the hormonal environment it needs to grow and develop optimally. It's like trying to build a house while ignoring the foundation. Eventually, the entire structure becomes unstable. Now let's talk about something that's happening between every single set you perform, and most people are getting it completely wrong. You finish a challenging set, your muscles are burning, and immediately you feel this pressure to get back under the bar as quickly as possible. Maybe you rest for 30 seconds, maybe a minute, and then you jump back in thinking that shorter rest periods mean better results. This couldn't be further from the truth, and here's why this mentality is actually limiting your progress. When you don't allow adequate rest between sets, your muscles don't have time to replenish their energy stores. This means that each subsequent set becomes progressively weaker, and you end up lifting less weight for fewer repetitions than you're actually capable of. The burning sensation you feel isn't necessarily an indicator of muscle growth. What you need is the ability to maintain high intensity throughout your entire workout, and that requires proper rest periods. Research shows that resting 3 to 4 minutes between sets allows for significantly better performance and greater overall training volume. For natural lifters especially, this recovery time is crucial because your body doesn't have the enhanced recovery capabilities that some athletes might have. Quality rest between sets leads to quality sets, which leads to quality results. Here's a mistake that's driven by ego rather than logic, and it's causing more injuries and stalled progress than almost anything else. You walk into the gym and see someone lifting heavy weights, and immediately you feel the need to match or exceed what they're doing, regardless of your own capabilities or experience level. This desire to impress others or prove something to yourself leads to loading up the bar with more weight than you can handle properly. When you lift weights that are beyond your current ability, several things happen, none of them good. First, your form breaks down completely, which not only increases injury risk, but also reduces the effectiveness of the exercise. Second, you're not actually stimulating the target muscles optimally because other muscle groups have to compensate for the excessive load. Third, you're placing enormous stress on your central nervous system, which can lead to prolonged fatigue and reduced performance in subsequent workouts. The truth is, nobody in the gym is paying as much attention to your lifts as you think they are. Everyone is focused on their own training, and the people who do notice will be more impressed by perfect form and consistent progression than by reckless displays of ego lifting. This next mistake is probably the most overlooked aspect of fitness, yet it might be the most important factor determining whether you succeed or fail. Nutrition isn't just about eating enough protein or avoiding junk food, it's about precision, and most people are flying blind when it comes to their macronutrient intake. Professional athletes and serious fitness enthusiasts understand that every gram counts. They weigh their food not because they're obsessive, but because they know that without accurate tracking, they're essentially guessing whether their body is getting what it needs to meet their goals. Protein is crucial for muscle repair and growth, carbohydrates provide the energy needed for intense training sessions, and fats are essential for hormone production and nutrient absorption. If you're trying to build muscle but you're not consuming enough protein, all the training in the world won't give you the results you want. If you're trying to lose fat but you're unknowingly eating more calories than you burn, your efforts will be futile. For muscle building, you need approximately 0.8 to 1.0 grams of protein per pound of body weight daily. To put this in perspective, a 150-pound person needs about 120 to 150 grams of protein every day. A chicken breast contains about 25 grams, and an egg has about 6 to 8 grams. When you start tracking these numbers, you quickly realize how easy it is to fall short of your requirements. Your training environment plays a much bigger role in your success than you might realize, and this is something most people never even consider. Imagine walking into the gym pumped up and ready for an incredible workout, only to find broken equipment, overcrowded spaces, distracted staff, and constant interruptions. This type of environment doesn't just affect your mood, it directly impacts your ability to train effectively. When you're constantly waiting for equipment, sharing machines, or dealing with malfunctioning gear, you lose the mental focus and physical momentum that great workouts require. Your rest periods become too long, your intensity drops, and what should have been a productive session becomes frustrating and inefficient. The atmosphere of your training environment affects everything from your motivation to your ability to concentrate on proper form. A well-organized, properly equipped facility with knowledgeable staff creates an environment where you can focus entirely on your training goals. Every set matters, every rep has purpose, and your progress becomes inevitable when you can train without distractions or limitations. Here's a concept that goes against everything most people believe about training harder and doing more. Many fitness enthusiasts fall into the trap of thinking that more exercises, more sets, and more time in the gym automatically translate to better results. They keep adding exercises to their routines, increasing their training volume week after week, believing that this approach will accelerate their progress. But here's what actually happens when you exceed your body's ability to recover from training stress. Your muscles need time to repair and grow after being broken down during exercise. This recovery process requires adequate rest, proper nutrition, and time. When you train with excessive volume, you don't allow this recovery to occur completely, and you enter a state where you're constantly breaking down muscle tissue without giving it the opportunity to rebuild stronger. The result is accumulated fatigue, declining performance, and stagnant progress despite increased effort. Research published in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrated something fascinating. Athletes who reduced their training volume by 30% while focusing on intensity and recovery experienced an 18% increase in strength compared to those who maintained higher training volumes. This proves that training smarter, not harder, is the key to continuous progress. Finally, let's talk about something so simple that most people completely overlook its importance, yet it can instantly improve your performance by nearly 20%. Water makes up about 60% of your body weight, and during intense exercise, you lose significant amounts through sweat and respiration. If you're not actively replacing this lost fluid, you're severely compromising your ability to perform at your best. Dehydration affects every aspect of your workout performance. Your blood becomes thicker, making it harder for your heart to pump oxygen and nutrients to working muscles. Your muscles become more prone to cramping, your coordination suffers, and your strength drops dramatically. A study in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research found that losing just 2% of body weight through dehydration was enough to reduce strength by up to 19% in exercises like bench presses and squats. Think about what this means for your training. If you weigh 150 pounds, losing just 3 pounds of water weight can reduce your performance by nearly 1/5. Every set becomes harder, every rep requires more effort, and your muscles can't receive the nutrients they need to perform optimally. The solution is simple but requires consistency. Bring a water bottle to every workout, sip regularly throughout your session, and pay attention to your body's hydration signals. These 11 mistakes might seem small individually, but their combined effect on your progress is absolutely massive. The difference between someone who gets incredible results and someone who spins their wheels for years often comes down to these seemingly minor details. Your genetics might determine your potential, but your habits determine how much of that potential you actually achieve. Every successful transformation story involves someone who identified and corrected these fundamental errors in their approach. The question isn't whether you have what it takes to build an amazing physique. The question is whether you're willing to address the habits that are currently holding you back. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make right now, and every day you delay implementing these changes is another day of wasted potential. The gym will always be there, the weights will always be waiting, but time is the one resource you can never get back. Make these corrections, stay consistent, and watch as your results finally start matching your effort.